This is Greg Dixon with Shared Visions Unlimited. I'm here with Lyle Truden of Truden Travel. And the weather is getting to the point here where many of you are already thinking about where to go to escape winter, especially if you're the northern North America. And anyway, so Lyle has a few options for you. But you do curated trips. Maybe you can introduce what you do a little bit here, Lyle.
Sure. Thank you, Greg. It's really nice to get to know you. I'm glad that I reached out and we've built this connection together. Yeah, so I started Truden Travel this year, but I've been a travel agent since 2006. I decided that I wanted to build a travel club, basically for people who love to travel but don't have the time to plan it themselves, and like to travel the way that I do. So I really focus on food, music, culinary experiences, festivals around the world. Of course, we always on the tourist spots and the highlights of any place, but I try to limit that and really get into unique experiences in local destinations. All of my tours really are about 2 weeks long, and they really focus on a few key components that are always there. So there always will be a cooking class. There'll always be a Michelin star restaurant. There'll always be street food tours. And then usually a lot of food kind of experiences included. Just for example, on the trip that I just came back from, my first trip I hosted was to Italy, Sicily, and Malta. We started and bookended the tour between the Couscous Festival San Vito Lo Capo and ended off at the Nota Bianca Festival in Valletta, Malta, which was both were amazing and blew the guests' mind away.
That's great. So you got a little blog about your experience there. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm slowly working through the blog, highlighting day by day what we did. But Dan and Diana wrote this really amazing review for me. So really thanks. Big shout out to them. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So how many people normally go on your trips?
Sure. Well, like I said, this is a new business for me, and this was my first tour. So on this group, we had 6 people. Typically, I'd like to keep the group to a maximum of about 25. Not what you would consider a small group tour, which can range from 12 to 18. But the reason that I do that is when you're traveling in that size of group with this type of trip, you'll find that 6 people want to get up early and do a hike to see the sunrise. 6 people want to stay at the restaurant a bit late and have a couple drinks. 6 people might want to go to a concert. And so there's always somebody to do something with that has a really good idea to get up to fun. And I really just like to have that dynamic where it's a group of friends that really start to get to know each other and experience these locations together.
Oh, that's great. So you've got one trip. I guess the next one coming up is 14 days in Vietnam.
Yeah, so 14 days in Vietnam. Vietnam's been on the top of my list of places to go for a really long time. And there's this unfortunate thing when you're a travel agent, you kind of go to the hottest, wherever the new direct flight is or the new destination is. And so for some strange reason, I've been a travel agent for this long and never been to Vietnam. But I have had so many of my colleagues go and just rave about how wonderful it is. The people are so welcoming and wonderful. The food is extraordinary. Like the flavors of Vietnam are incredible. And there's just such majestic beauty in nature, such cultural beauty, and so many things to do. We'll be spending 2 days cruising Ha Long Bay, checking out a couple of famous caves. We'll be doing our Master Chef session on the cruise. The full itinerary is 14 days, and we get to experience a lot. There'll be traditional dance, seeing some markets, some palaces, different things like that, temples. So, all of the things that you expect in Vietnam. But those unique experiences like the cooking class and we'll be kayaking in the south as well. Lots of fun stuff.
Lots of fun stuff. And then, yeah, and then you've got a Korean art show coming up. That's a little bit later. What
Yeah,
what
so
what what days do you have in mind for this? Like for the Vietnam? When's that?
Vietnam is the 8th to 23rd of February.
Okay.
And then South Korea will be the 19th to 1st of June, 19th of May
Okay.
to the 1st of June. So I'm on the board of directors for the Vancouver Visual Art Foundation. We put on Vancouver's largest art fair at the convention center in the spring, called Art Vancouver.
Right.
It's a large contemporary art fair. And one of our partners is actually the Place Art Fair in South Korea. They bring a huge host of wonderful Korean artists to Vancouver this year, or each year, and we bring a host of Canadian artists to the Place Fair. So we've been invited out, and we'll have special access to the Place art fair there, but we'll be doing a 2-week tour of Seoul as pardon me, of South Korea as well, looking at the traditional culture. As you see, day 4, we'll have exclusive access to the Place Art Fair. We'll have the painters experience, which is a silent experience where they'll be doing art on stage. It's apparently really funny and very comedic. And going through, we'll have some really amazing food experiences. We'll have a day at the beach, just to relax and recover from all the touring. I always like to build in free time to make sure that it's not overwhelming. People are coming for a holiday, so there's always time to relax as well, while including all the sights and experiences that make it special.
Oh, that's great. So what are the costs of these trips?
Sure, yeah. So they're varied depending on destination. The trip to Vietnam is 5,800 per person based on double occupancy. And then the trip to South Korea is 8,900 based on double occupancy. And as you know, Korea is a bit more pricey in terms of hotels. And there are a few more unique experiences that are a bit higher end on that tour. Such as those art exclusive access that we were talking about. But I like to keep the tours always within the same range as you'd find other luxury trips. I'm trying to give a little bit lower. I negotiate with wholesalers from around the world and work really hard to build these really unique itineraries at really good pricing.
Yeah. And I'm assuming then people have to make their own way there, get their flights there too. So what do you generally do? Meet at a certain place in Vietnam that
Yeah, so we'll fly. The itinerary will always include where you fly into and out of, and I work with a travel agent called WorldGo, and have a partner there that can help with the flights. I don't book flights. I don't do that type of travel agent business anymore. I just host the tours, but
yeah.
I'm well connected there and can make sure people. And I always will share the itinerary that I've looked up for myself and booked, so that people can understand what the options are.
Okay, that's great. And
Yeah,
you
and then
have
oh, pardon me?
no, and I guess you have your website actually you have Book Now. So what's the process? If somebody's interested, they have a meeting with you, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so again, being a travel club, I really want to protect the integrity of the group. I really want to invite open-minded, kind people to join the trip. People who are going to really respect the culture, really enjoy the differences that each country has, and yeah, so basically they fill out the application here. It takes you to the full itinerary once you do that. And then I'll reach out and set up a meeting if people are interested. And then if they're interested in joining, then they just sign up with me. There's a deposit that's due. It's different per tour. And then the final payment schedule I'll share at that time.
Okay. Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, and just a couple notes. The tour, one thing that's really important to me is I always select centrally located boutique style hotels, 4.5 star. So usually hotels that have a high interest level. In Italy, we stayed in buildings that used to be palaces, and I've stayed in a converted monastery before, and things like that. So just really interesting, unique hotel experience experiences whenever I can, and I usually make sure that they're within walking distance of things to do, Old Town or where the nightlife is or where the food markets are, just to ensure that when people do have free time, it's accessible to them.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were talking before, you said you had structured it so that um, people do have enough free time to go pursue what they want, and then you have some scheduled things and experiences for them. The
Yeah,
combination. Yeah.
Yeah, usually there's one or two full days of experiences and sightseeing, and then there's either a half day or full day free to do whatever they'd like to do. And there's always the option, of course, to skip one of the excursions that's included, if it's not someone's cup of tea, or they just want a bit more free time. But they're usually really well balanced, and people appreciate all of the activities. As I mentioned, they're usually unique activities, like those cooking class experience, or in Italy we made soap and I had an olive oil tasting experience that was quite unique as well. And it just really gets you into the culture and understanding of a local area.
Yeah, that's great. Something for everyone, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been a travel agent, like I said, since 2006, and where I got this idea was actually through a gentleman named Steve Weisall, who used to write the garden section for the Vancouver province, the Vancouver Sun newspaper. He's a published author, has written a couple gardening books, and has hosted the Home and Garden Show in Vancouver. But in 2010, we partnered and started doing custom garden tours. I've booked over 32 tours with him since 2010. He does typically about 2 tours per year. And those focus on gardens around the world. So it's not a new type of business to me. It's just, me hosting my own tours.
Yeah.
I just started in March, and Italy was my first trip. So Vietnam's my second, and we'll grow it from there.
Pretty good. So it's pretty good to make a business out of something you enjoy doing yourself. So
Yeah, well, it's interesting because all the years of travel, booking for different types of clients in Flight Center, I started off in Flight Center retail, and then I moved into business travel, and then I moved into our high-end luxury travel brand. So just understanding how many people uh, want to find a trip that is exactly what they're looking for, but they don't want to plan it themselves, and there's a lot of tours out there that are cookie cutter, or they all include the same things. If you look at the top 5 tour companies to Vietnam, they include exactly the same things. They
yeah.
might have a little difference here or there, and that's why with Steve, it's the gardens that make his special, and with me, it's those really unique food experiences, as well as local festivals. I try to tie them to local cultural festivals,
Yeah.
and mine only happen once. I don't ever do the same tour twice.
Yeah. Well, unless you live to about 1,005, you won't run out of places to go.
Exactly. Well, the only one that might be different is the Korean tour. The art tour might be an annual one, just because of my relationship with the board of directors,
Yeah.
and hosting that. And the art show, of course, will be very different every year. But the tour itself, the rest of the 2 weeks actually might be quite different. We might head to Japan, or off to one of the other countries nearby. So yeah, every experience is unique, and with my nearly 20 years of expertise booking travel, I know the places that are classic and have always been great. I also know the new hot places, and really know how to find those unique experiences.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, you paused a little bit there. I think this is great. So if you're interested in going to Vietnam or Korea, or future trips, which are unknown at this point, go visit trudentravel.com and learn more about this. Read the blog, sign up, book an appointment, talk to Lyle?
Yes, please do. You can reach out at Lyle at trudentravel.com or directly to my phone number, 778-400-5544, or on the website.
Yeah, and you've got a LinkedIn profile and Facebook, and you're in other places on the interweb.
Exactly. Well, and I'll give you just a little exclusive. There are two other trips planned next year. One in July that will be to Slovenia and Hungary. That one's going to be a spa and festival tour. Hungary is quite well known for having some really wonderful ancient baths as well as spa culture. So those of us that are stressed out and need a break from our jobs, we'll get to relax at the very beginning of that tour, and then at the end in Ljubljana, which is one of the most beautiful cities I've been to, there's a jazz festival, and then just outside of Ljubljana there's a flower and beer festival. So that'll be the summer tour, and then October we'll be doing a Oaxaca food tour around the Day of the Dead and all of those celebrations in Mexico.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Sounds great. So again, yeah, book an appointment with Lyle. Go check it out. Go check out trudentravel.com and yeah.
Well, and Greg, thank you so much for the opportunity to share this with your viewers and for connecting. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Good. So I'm going to let everybody go, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.
Good day.